All right, let's keep trucking along here. We clearly have a couple issues. The first of which is we'll notice that this gray background that we assigned, this very, very light gray background, isn't flowing all the way down past the content. And that instantly tells me that we need to set the overflow to automatic. So let's go ahead, let's go back in here and let's go into our style.css. Let's find the showcase. So our showcase class, and this is sort of taking over this entire section. Let's give this an overflow and set that to auto. And once again, some of these things I'm not going to talk about. Google Overflow CSS if you want to learn a little bit more about it. Let's go ahead and save that. Take a look, and we should notice, there we go, that our background color flows the entire length of this div, which is great. So now let's take a look at our other one, see what we need to do. So pretty much at this point, we just need to style our text here on the right side. It appears that the size of the image, which I wanted to keep big, is pretty good. It's running all the way down, which is good. So let's go ahead and start styling this, the text over here. And to do that, we'll go back into brackets and let's take a look at our index.html. Let's remember what we've named everything. All right, so we have section title and we have section left. Let's go ahead, and I want to add one more div and one more class to encompass this for styling purposes. So let's call this div class, and we're going to add this just above the h1 class section title. And let's just call this, let's do feature text, and we'll close that. And then we need to make sure that this encompasses all the way down to, let's see, just outside of the column 2. So obviously the featured text, if you select the column 2 div, we're going to go just above that and just outside or below the end of the featured text div. And guys, remember, this is a good reason to be using comments. So we could say end feature text or something like that, just especially when you have a lot of code that runs in between specific divs, you want to keep things organized, and usually, you know, do a better job indenting than I have. But let's keep moving forward. Let's just try to get back into CSS so we can continue to learn. Really, all this is about learning how to use certain styles to achieve different looks and feels. So let's go ahead and save that. We now have a featured text class. Let's go into our style.css and let's start creating some new classes. Let me go back into index really quickly and see which to start with. Let's start with the featured text here, and I just want to use this. Let's use feature text. And let's use this to get the spacing. So there's a huge padding here at the top, and there's definitely a little extra padding to the left. So let's just use this to achieve that spacing. That's why I added the featured text. So let's go ahead and add a padding to the top, and let's do a lot. So I think it's going to be around 300 pixels, and we're going to do a padding to the left as well. And for that, let's do 50 pixels. Now, hopefully, we'll see something a little more along the lines of down here. Okay, great. So our padding looks a little bit closer, which is great. We definitely need to style this. This font is a lot thinner, and there's a lot more spacing as far as the individual lines. So let's go back in and let's start changing that as well. Let's check our index.html and see what we need to change and see what we've named it. So we have our section title and then we have section left. So let's style each one of those individually, starting with the section title. All right. So first things first, I want to change the width here because it's running the entire width, and we're just going to change the width of both of these. So let's do a width of 70%. And let's go ahead and make sure that this is aligned to the center. I'll make sure you have your semicolon here. So let's give this a text align center as well. All right. Let's make sure it's centered, so we'll give it a margin auto. Now I want to take the font weight, so this is a lot thinner and the line height is a lot bigger, so we know that we need to change the font weight, and we're going to bring that down to, let's do 200, and we also need to change the line height, so let's change that and take that up to about 1.5 EM. Let's save it. Hopefully that looks a little bit closer. Let's look over here. So that's what we're going for. So we need thinner font and more space in between. Yes, it even looks good on an iPhone. So that's pretty good. Oh, we'll also notice that this actually is not center aligned. So we can take that alignment out and keep that aligned automatically to the left. So let's go back in here. Let's take out the text align center. Save that. Fresh. Okay, there we go. Now we need to style this bottom portion here so it looks more like this. We're going to need to change the width of this as to 70% as well, so it has that same width, and we'll do some styling changes there as well. So let's go back in. We'll create a brand new one. This is under section, I believe it is left. So we name that class section left, and we're going to be applying the styles to that text right there. Let's go ahead and give this a width. And let's do the same at 70%. Let's give this, we're also going to give this a padding of 10 pixels so it's not touching the edge. And let's go ahead and save that and check it really quickly. That's what that looks like. All right, so we are not centered. So currently, even though this is text aligned to the left, it's centered within the individual container here. So we need to make sure we do that for this one as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to set a margin of auto. And voila, there we have it. So looking pretty good, good enough. Obviously the text is a little bit different in this other demo because I think I imported some different fonts. Don't worry about that. We can go back and change it if we want to. For now, we have the look that we want. It looks pretty good. We could add a bit more spacing in between here. I think that might look a little bit better. So if we go back into our section left and we have a padding on all sides of 10, I think it might be a good idea to maybe do a padding of, let's say, let's do 20. Let's do 20 pixels, 10 pixels, and we can just do 10 pixels to grab all the others. So it's going to do top, right, bottom, left here. All right, and we get a little more space there, which I think looks better, but there we have it. Now we need to move on to the next section. So we have this little gray background, and then it's going to go back to a white background, and we're going to have almost the same exact layout, but we're going to reverse it. So we'll have an image on the right and the text on the left, which means we can use some copy and pasting here, which is nice. So let's go ahead and do that in the next lecture.